Hi computer scientists, Mr. Stafford here, and today I wanted to show you Unit 4, Lesson 6, Comparing Object Reference and Data. The first level has you do two different programs. Program A says, are these two integers equal? And so what we're supposed to do is predict the output of the program and then run it to compare the results of our prediction. So what you should do at this point is take a look at this program and predict what you think the output will be in the console. So pause the video, make your prediction, and come back when you're ready. When we do run it, we see int a equals 5, int b equals 5, and if a is equal to 5, so it's 5 equal to 5, it does print out the same. So we can go ahead and tick finish. And then try out program B where it says, are these two strings equal? So it's the same setup where we have string A equals pop, balloon pop, and string B is equal to new string balloon pop. And what you should do is make a prediction. So take the opportunity now to pause the video and come back when you're ready. When you run this program, we're asking, is A equal to B? Now the way that strings are declared is they are reference type data. So string A and string B are actually in two different locations in memory, and so when we ask is A equal to B, what it looks at, the location in memory for A, which is in one location, and B, which is in the different location. So even though they're holding on to the same string, which is balloon pop, they're in two different locations in memory, and so this comparison, A is equal to B, the computer looks at the memory addresses, sees that they're different, so this would be false, and it prints different. Okay, so we'll click finish on that. We'll navigate to the next level, and it is asking us to run the program to test our predictions. So again, take this opportunity to pause the video and test your predictions and come on back when you're ready. So again, we're making different objects, okay, similar to the strings where they're reference type data. We have cake A, cake B, and cake C. And we're saying, is cake A equal to cake B? Is cake A equal to cake C? And is cake B equal to cake C? So when we run this, what we're going to get is A equal to B. That's going to be false, because A and B, even though their parameters or these arguments are identical, they're created in two different locations in memory. So A and B are not the same. Is cake A equal to cake C? That is true because we are setting cake C equal to cake A. So they're going to be pointing at the same location in memory. And then is cake B equal to cake C? That's also false because B and C are pointing at two different locations in memory. Go ahead and click finish there. Level number 3 says look at the string class and the Java API. So I'm going to wheel click and open it up in a different tab. And it says, and find the equals method. So you can copy that. And it says, what does the method compare? How can this method be used or called? And then where does it come from within the class? So you can copy and paste equals and find it in that Java API and be able to answer these 3 questions. Once you're done with that, click finish. And then it says import dessert.java and cake.java from your backpack. So this is from a few levels and units ago. So find your dessert and your cake and import those. And it says the owner of Project Mercury Pastries food truck considers 2 desserts to be equal if they have the same flavor. So in the dessert.java, so we're going to flow to dessert.java, write the method public boolean equals dessert and other dessert. So I am going to write that method at the bottom of the program, and I'm going to copy this method signature. So public boolean equals dessert, other dessert. And then it says in the equals method, determine if two dessert objects are equal by comparing the flavor of each dessert object, and return true if they are the same, otherwise return false. So what we can do is we can return this dot, and I'm going to be looking at the flavor, okay? Because we're considering two desserts to be equal if they have the same flavor. So I have this instance variable, string flavor, so I'm going to use this keyword, which points at the current instance instance of this object. So I'm going to do this dot flavor, and since it's a string, I'm going to use the dot equals method and say other dessert dot get flavor. And I'm going to make sure that that is a method that I have. It's been a while. There's a set flavor and a get flavor. So get flavor is a method that we're able to use. End it with a semicolon. And this will return true if they have the same flavor, or false otherwise. And then it says remember to use the accessor method get flavor to get the flavor of the dessert, which is what we used right there. I'm going to run this just to make sure that I don't have any errors. It doesn't look like I do. We're still running that main method from the My Food Truck class. I'm going to go ahead and click Finish. Level 5 says the owner of Project Mercury Pastries food truck considers two cakes to be equal if they have the same flavor and the same topping. So these are with cakes now. So I'm going to go to cake, and it says in cake, write the equals method that takes a cake object as a parameter. Okay, so I'm going to go to the bottom of the class, and this, it doesn't give me the signature. So I'm going to say public boolean equals, and this is going to take in a cake object, cake, and I'm going to say other cake. And it says check if super.equals returns false to compare the flavors of each cake object. If so, return false. So what we're doing is, when we make this super call, we're actually kicking it up to our super class, which is dessert, and we just wrote that equals method. Since a cake has to have both flavor and topping to be the same, it's an AND statement. Both have to be true. If one of them is true, for instance flavor, then it's not going to be equal. So we're going to kick this up, and we're going to say, here's what I want to do. I want to do a boolean. So boolean ret equals false. Actually, I can't do that, because if I'm going to make a call to super, it needs to be the very first call in in my method. So it says check if super returns false to compare the flavors of each cake object. Okay, so we make that super call first, and if it is false, then I want to return false. So I'm going to say if super.equals. So I want to say if it is not equal, then what I'm going to do, super.equals other cake, is I want to return false. Okay, so that's fine right there. The next thing that I want to do, because this is gonna check the flavor, and now I want to check the topping. So I'm going to say if this dot topping, I'm going to make sure that I have topping as a instance variable, and I do. And do I have a get toppings? I do. And it's get toppings, plural, so I want to make sure that I remember that. So if this dot topping dot equals other cake dot get toppings, then I want to return true. Else, what I want to do is return false. Okay, I'm going to check the instructions. I should have been reading the instructions. It says check if super.equals returns false to compare the flavors of each cake object. If so, return false, which I did there. Otherwise, check if the toppings are the same by comparing the toppings of each cake object, and return true if they are the same. Otherwise, return false. And that's what we did there. I want to run this to make sure that it's still good, and it is. I'm going to click finish. Okay. And then we are back to the balloon game. So it says in balloon.java, write the equals method to compare two balloon objects for equality. Balloon objects are equal if they have the same popped status. So I need to go to balloon, and I need to write the equals method. Okay, so I'm going to say public boolean equals, and then I'm going to say balloon other balloon, open that up. And the next thing that you want to do is check to see if, so it says write the equals method to compare two balloon objects for equality. Balloon objects are equal if they have the same popped status. Okay, so my popped status, I have this popped Boolean variable, instance variable. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say return this dot popped is equal to other balloon dot get popped. That method makes sure, oh, it is popped. Let me make sure. That's right. Is popped instead of get popped. Okay, run this, see if we have any errors. We don't. Okay. Go ahead and click finish. And level number 7 says to start developing the logic for checking whether or not there are valid moves left in the game, implement the moves left method and check moves method in Pop Balloons game. So I got to go to Pop Balloons game, and it says for moves left. So I'm going to flow down to where I can see moves left, and we're right here. And it says declare and initialize a Boolean variable to false. Okay. So I'm going to say Boolean can move equals false. So declare and initialize a Boolean variable to false to track whether the user can continue to play the game. And then it says write nested loops that loop from 1 to 10 to check each combination of balloon objects. Okay, so that tells me that I'm going to need a loop inside of a loop. And I'm going to go from 1 to 10. So I'm going to go for int I equals 1. I is going to be less than or equal to 10 I plus plus. Okay, and then it breaks down this this outer loop. So it says in the outer loop, declare and initialize balloon current balloon. So I'm going to copy that to the balloon object returned from GameDisplay.getBalloon. So this is going to be equal to GameDisplay.getBalloon. So GameDisplay.getBalloon, I want to see that method because I think that I'm going to need a parameter in here. So .getBalloon. So GameDisplay, I'm going to go to GameDisplay, look at getBalloon. My class opened right up to it, so this is getBalloon, and it does need a value. So what this value is going to represent is the location of the index in the array. It represents the index in the array. Okay. So this is going to be at index I. Okay. And it says check if the current balloon is not popped. Okay. So check if the current balloon is not popped. So if current balloon dot is popped. Now that's if it is popped, but I want to see if it's not popped, so I need to use the not operator. Okay, so check if the current balloon is not popped, and then if that's a true statement, so if it is not popped, then inside this if statement we need to write an inner loop that loops from 1 to 10. This sounds familiar. We just did this up above. So I'm going to save some typing and change the variable I to j. Okay, int j equals 1, j is less than or equal to 10, j plus plus. And I need to close my curly brace. Make sure that that's good. I'm going to separate this if statement a little bit with some white space. Okay, so we're in the inner loop. Declare and initialize balloon next balloon, so balloon next balloon, to the balloon object returned from GameDisplay.getBalloon. Okay, it's going to be equal to GameDisplay.getBalloon, and again, we've used this from up above, but now we're in the inner loop, so I'm going to use j as the index for getBalloon. Okay, and then it says in the inner loop, so we're still in the inner loop. Check if the current balloon equals next balloon. So this is another if statement. So if current balloon, and we wrote the equals method in the previous level. So I'm going to say current balloon dot equals next balloon. Okay. And again, what we're doing is we're checking the popped status. Okay, that's how we're determining if two balloons are equal with the equals method. So we're seeing if the current balloon is popped and if the next balloon is popped. Okay. For now, if this is true, set the Boolean variable to true. So we made the Boolean variable can move, and I'm now going to set it equal to true. Okay, and then step 3 says return the Boolean variable. So currently right now what we're doing is returning false constantly. So I'm going to return can move. Okay, very good. And we're on to this one where it says for check moves. So we're into check moves. It says if moves left returns true. So that's the method that we just wrote, moves left. Okay, so we're in check moves. So if moves left, that's a method that's going to return a Boolean statement, either true or false. So I can just leave it as moves left. Sometimes I like to do is equal to true. It's a little redundant. It's a little bit more easier to read, I think, but you can also just leave it as moves left. Okay, so if moves left, use GameDisplay.update message. Okay, GameDisplay.update message to inform the user to pop balloons to total plus total roll. Pop balloons to total plus total roll. Okay, so we're wanting the user to pop balloons that will total up to the amount that is on the face of the die that we roll, which is the total roll. Okay, and then it says add a call to popballoonsGame.checkMoves in the onClick method for rollbuttons.java. Okay, so add a call to popballoonsGame.checkMoves in the onClick method for rollbutton.java. So I need to go to the rollbutton.java, and in the onClick method, I need to make a call to popballoonsGame.checkMoves. So I'm going to copy that and paste it here. So when I click on the roll button, so I'm going to run this, make sure I don't have any errors, and if I do, fix them. Okay. When I click the roll button, it says pop balloons to total to 5, and I've got 3 plus 2 is 5, which is good. I can pop that button now, and it pops. It says pop balloons to total 8. So let's do 6, okay, and 2, and I'm going to click 3, and it still pops. Okay, but that's okay. So don't have any errors, and that's it for lesson 6.